Together by the Beatles. Well, a quick read through the guidance. This is quite a simple one, but there's something in this called a hammer-on that I'll do a separate video on this if I haven't already done by the time you see this. But just to keep it simple, just have a read through like with the other riffs, what they're talking about in the article. This riff will function in a similar way to the riff you learned earlier if you've been doing the other ones. From Sunshine of Your Love, it's a single note riff, so with no power chords or double stops or anything like that. But in this case, it ascends from the low E to the D string, so basically it's played across our 6th string, 5th string and 4th string, E, A and D. So we're playing a riff across 3 strings. There is also a hammer-on present on the A string between the 10th and 12th fret, so that's that bit that I'm playing. It's actually the 3rd and the 4th notes of the riff, so I start off with 2 pick notes and then I play a hammer-on. To perform a hammer-on, you fret and play the lower note of the pairing, in this case the 10th fret on the A string, that note. Then with another finger, hammer onto the 12th fret of the same string without re-picking the string. So I'm going to pick the 10th fret note on my A string, and then without picking again, I'm going to use my other finger to hit the 12th fret on the same string, on the A string, the 5th string. And if I do that correctly and cleanly and with a little bit of force, I'm not smashing it down trying to crack the neck of the guitar, but enough to give the string the vibration it needs to sound. Again, there's a knack to it, a technique to it. It'll come with practice, and the more you do it, the cleaner they'll sound. So play the first note, and then I'm not going to pick the second note. Missed it then. Normally, when you're talking about playing hammer-ons and pull-offs, as we did in another riff, you want the notes to sound approximately the same sort of volume or attack. If we don't hammer hard enough, then we'll normally find that the second note doesn't have the same volume as the first note. So it'll sound a lot quieter than the first note. So it's good to practice, maybe perhaps just those 2 notes, the 10th fret and the 12th fret, if you're learning this riff, and just get those 2 sounding like the same sort of volume as if you're picking them, but by not picking the second note you get that smoother feel to it. The first note's got the attack of the pick on it, and the second note doesn't have that attack. That's one of the key things that gives the riff its feel. So that's the only thing that might catch you out on this. In terms of my input, it doesn't say this on the notes. I keep pointing up there because I'm reading it off the screen. But I've talked about positional play for this particular riff. We need to be in the 10th position because all the notes are up there. So when you see a note played on the 10th fret, we're going to use your first finger to play those, and the other note on the 12th fret, you can use your 3rd finger. So the first couple of notes are on your first finger, then we move strings, we'll play the hammer-on, 1st and 3rd fingers, and then we move strings again and play the final note on the D string with our 1st finger. So we're using our 1st finger, then we're going to play our 1st finger and hammer our 3rd finger on the A string, then across the D string we're just going to use just our 1st finger to play that final note. Just one more thing, as Columbo would say, if you look at the tab, it's got again, it's got an indication of the PM, palm muting, on some of the notes above the tab, which is telling us that for those notes, wherever you see the PM and the little dotted lines, any notes below that should be muted or damped using the fleshy part of your right hand. So the first note, the 10th fret note, on your E string, we need to just mute that down a little bit so it's not ringing out fully. So again, that's giving us a little bit more flavour, just like with the hammer-on, to give the riff a little bit more feel. If I wasn't to mute it, hopefully you can hear on the recording that the muting just does give it a little bit more. A little bit more variety. So we've got palm muting and hammer-ons and going across the 3 strings. Again, it's a simple riff, it's just the same pattern, repeated and repeated. On the recording there's a lot more stuff going on, production sound effects that makes it sound a little bit more fuller than what we've got here, but it's a great little exercise because it's simple to learn, there's not many notes, and you can really focus in on the little techniques there to be able to play it. Should work on electric guitar or acoustic guitar, as long as you can get up to that position. On most guitars you can get up to the 12th fret with certainly with your 3rd finger, because remember we're playing in position 10, we're not needing to go up there and play with that finger. Come together.